I cannot believe I'm a fully credentialed school psychologist. Like, what? I started this channel when I started the program. So it's crazy. It's crazy. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my internship experience and also some of the things that I did as an intern that I found to be helpful. So hopefully those can help some of you guys out there who are about to start internship or even practicum students. I think some of these things can be used during practicum as well. I will give you guys a warning. It's been, I want to say 2 years since I last recorded and uploaded on my channel. So I might be a little rusty, but let's go ahead and just get started with this video. Okay, so I do have my iPad here. I wrote down some talking points of things that I want to cover so that I stay on track and I'm just not all over the place. So if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. Also, my background might look a little different. The lighting in my office is terrible right now, so I'm in a different room, and so if you see me looking that way, there's a window there, and I get distracted easily sometimes. So, okay. First, I want to talk about where I did my internship. So, I know a lot of people are familiar with doing your internship directly with a school district, but I did mine with the County Office of Education where I live, and so I kind of wanted to give you guys a definition of that for those who may not be familiar with what a County Office of Education is, before I get started talking about what my experience was with them. Okay, so a County Office of Education is an organization that provides educational programs for certain students, business, administrative, and curriculum services to school districts, as well as financial oversight. So that's the actual definition of what a County Office of Education is. To make it, I guess, easier to understand, is the County Office of Education works with local school districts within the county and provides them with different programs, resources for their students, their families, professional development. And so it's a variety of things that they do to provide support to the districts within the county. They also have programs to serve students who have severe needs, that cannot be met within the general education classroom. So for example, students who have severe emotional disturbance, who have autism and have severe behaviors, students who are intellectually disabled. And so they provide all these services to meet the students' needs. So when I started as an intern at the county, I was assigned to the small school districts. So they also provide services to small school districts who may not have the funding to, for example, hire a full-time school psychologist or a full-time speech and language pathologist or a full-time BCBA. And so they contract with the County Office of Education, and these professionals go into the districts to provide those services when needed. So that's kind of what I was. I was the school psychologist intern for 3 small school districts. And I say school districts, but some of these school districts were literally just one school. So 3 schools. I had 2 elementary schools and 1 high school. So I was really happy that I got to get that experience at all grade levels. And so I would go into my assigned sites whenever I had to complete assessments for meetings. I would go in for SST meetings when they needed me. If there was behavior issues and they needed an FBA, I could provide that as well. But like I said, they have BCBA, so for BIPs, they would contact their BCBA. And so I would go in as needed, where if you are a school psychologist within the district, then you're there every day of the week from 7:30 to 4:30. So the 2 main differences I would say is not being on site all the time, going in and out, and also the populations that you might have to serve when you're a school psychologist for the County Office of Education. Those students have severe needs, more needs than those in the general education setting. So those are the two differences in my opinion. And so being that you're not on site every day, then it makes it hard to build relationships with everybody at the school. You kind of miss out on like assemblies or anything like that. But on the positive side, you're not there for like school drama or anything like that within, staff members, or you don't get called to do bus duty, or you don't get called to do other things that prevent you from doing your actual work. And so I would say that's a pro in my opinion. So like I said, I was not at the sites every day of the week. I was only going in and out. So I was stationed at like I guess you can call it a main hub where my desk was at. And so it was like a big room with other school psychs, which I really enjoyed as an intern because I got to collaborate with the other psychs and they would help me if I needed help. And so it was a really good experience in my opinion. But we all had our desks in this big room, and because we were all going to our sites at different times, we were not always there at the same time. It was definitely something that I am very grateful for as an intern, because I was able to ask questions, get advice, or get somebody else's perspective on a case that I was working on. And just hearing their conversation sometimes, it was just a lot of learning that took place. And I really liked it. So I think that really made it more easier for me as an intern, I guess, versus being by myself at a school in my office and just trying to figure things out on my own. My supervisor was in the same location as me. He had his own office, so he wasn't with us in like that big room, but he would come in, check on me. He would, I want to say almost every day, check to see if I had any questions, how things were going. If he wasn't coming in, it was a phone call or email. So I cannot express how important it is to have a good supervisor. I felt like I had a really good supervisor. He was always available for me. He never made me feel like I was a burden or bothering him. I asked a lot of questions and he never made me feel like I was asking a stupid question. He also tried to make me figure things out on my own, which at first I was kind of like, just give me the answer. Like, I'm a student here. I don't know what I'm doing. But he would be like, you know what you're doing. You can figure out, like, use your brain. And so now I'm glad that he did that, because you don't always want to be relying on somebody to give you the answer or to help you figure something out. Please, if you can, find yourself a good supervisor. And then another pro to being in that room with other school psychologists is you don't feel as alone as being by yourself in the district. I see people like on Facebook or forums talk about how lonely it can be to be a school psychologist. And over here with the County Office of Education, it was like a team, you're not all like working within the same like classes or programs. You all have your own specific assignments, but these people have different levels of experience. You can collaborate, you can kind of get advice or resources if you need some, like forums or anything like that. And so it was very beneficial to me. Aside from having credentialed school psychologists in that room, I also had one other intern who was completing her internship, not from the same program that I was. She was from a different program, but it was nice to have an intern there too, because we kind of understood what we were going through. We would take walks, we would kind of vent with each other. And so it was nice. I honestly felt that my experience was a good one. I'm not gonna lie, it was stressful and overwhelming at first, but I did feel supported. And so I think having that support is really important. So something else I wanted to talk about is paid internships. So my internship was a paid internship. I've had people ask me, like, do you think a paid internship is better than a not paid internship? Or, what is your opinion on that? I'm sure you guys have heard that if you get a paid internship, you are required to do more, you have more responsibilities, And yes, that is true. I was paid, but honestly, I wasn't paid that much. Something is better than nothing. But you do have a lot of responsibilities. So I had my own caseload, and yes, I had my supervisor who I can go to and ask questions, but honestly, I was on my own pretty much the whole time. I had to complete my cases from start to finish. I had to do the testing, I had to go to the meetings, I had to do the parent interviews, everything. And so it is a lot of work, and I'm not gonna lie, from August to November, I was like, what am I doing? Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm not gonna survive, like, RIP to me. But no, it does get easier. At first, I think what was overwhelming was that you're new to the place, so you're learning how to do things. You're trying to get yourself organized. You're trying to figure out how to use a system where you have to input all of your information and data. And also you have to get your cases going because, tries can be, as soon as August. They're due as soon as August or September. And so you need to get those out of the way. For my program, I still had classes during internship. So then I also had homework. And so it was just a lot. But I would say when we came back after winter break in January, then I felt like, okay, it's getting better. I can do this because you have your routine, you're organized, you kind of know what you're doing. And so my supervisor told me, like, when we started, like, it's going to be a lot and it is going to be overwhelming to do by yourself as an intern. But by the time you leave here in May or June, you are going to be more ready to be a credentialed school psychologist on your own versus having someone who was under a supervisor the whole time and would do, like, okay, you get to do the KBC for the next case, you'll do the TAPS, and then, like, the last 3 cases of the year you can do on your own. And so looking back at it, it's true, like, it is stressful, but I'm so thankful that that's kind of how it worked out for me, because when I started my first year this school year, I felt a little bit more comfortable and confident going in. Paid internships can be a little bit more stressful. So either way, I think the most important thing is finding somewhere where you have support, you have a good supervisor, and you're actually gonna learn a lot, because I feel like internship is really where you learn the most and you have, like, real life experiences. So that is very important. A very important part of the program. If you have any questions about my experience, let me know down in the comments below. But yes, so I did mine with the County Office of Education. It was a paid internship. I was assigned to 3 different schools, 2 elementary and 1 high school, and I would only go in as needed. For example, complete assessments, if I had SST meetings, if I had IEP meetings, if there was, like, a crisis, then I would go in. But I was not there 5 days a week, 7:30 to 4:30, like other psychs might be when they're interning at, with the actual school district itself. So now I'm going to talk about some of the things that I did during internship that I felt kind of helped me be productive and, survive. And hopefully some of these things can be helpful for some of you as well. So the first thing I want to talk about, and I think it's like a pretty obvious one, is being organized. Really, it's life-changing. Like, you have to be organized, because if not, internship will eat you alive. And of course, at the beginning, you're going to be all over the place, but try to find a routine and a system that will work for you. Even before you start internship, kind of look up things like, oh, this might work, I'm going to try this. If it doesn't work, then you kind of switch it. But try to have something to stay organized, stay on top of when you have to complete assessments, when timelines are due, when your IEP meetings are, if you have SST meetings, counseling. There's a lot going on that you have to keep track of. So try to find a system that's going to work for you. What I did was so when I had my caseload, I printed out a list of everybody that was already on my caseload. So all of the tries that I was going to have for the year. And I went through them and I looked at when they were due. And then I inputted those dates into my calendar to kind of keep track of, like, hey, by this week or by this month, you need to complete assessments for these students or observations for these students, just to kind of guide me and make sure that I didn't forget or miss something. And so I inputted those dates into my Outlook calendar. And I also color coded my sites. So I had 3 different sites. And so I color coded the folders that I was using. So like one school site was all one color folders. The next one was a different color. And then on my calendar, they also were color coordinated on there too. So that kind of kept me on track of what student belonged to what site, where I was gonna go on what day, if I had a meeting, what site the meeting was in. So I found that to be very helpful. And just use your Outlook calendar too. I mean, or Google Calendar, I don't know. Everybody has different things, but I had an Outlook calendar and I had it on my phone too. Excuse me. I had it on my phone too, so that if I was at a site and I was done with one student, I could look to see if I had somebody else that I needed to see, or if I needed to go to another site, what site I had planned to go to. And so it was all there on my phone. I had my email on there as well, which is not good because I would check my email after hours and at night. And I'm the type of person that if I'm in bed and I see that I have an email, then I need to get up and respond, but I made changes, there's boundaries now. But yes, if you're going to have it on your phone, just turn off the notification so that it's not like alerting you when you're getting emails. And if you choose to go look at it, then that's your problem. But yes, just try to have boundaries too. Another tip, have boundaries. Even as an intern, I know that we feel like we want to say yes to everything, but you have to take care of yourself too. And if you have a lot, talk to your supervisor and be like, hey, I need help with some of this, or I cannot take on more than I already have. I had that conversation with my supervisor at one point, and he was so supportive too, and he understood. So it was just kind of like, hey, I can't add this thing on right now, because he wanted me to get experience. And so he would offer like, hey, do you want to take on this student for counseling or whatever? And at one point I was like, I can't do it right now because I have all of these tries that are piled up, but maybe in the spring semester. And so and then I did the counseling in the spring. And so just have those conversations with your supervisor. Really try to have those boundaries so that you don't get burnt out so early on. The next thing is ask all the questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't think that's going to be a stupid question. Write down the answers that you get from your supervisor, whoever you ask the question to, because you will need to reference it later. So I had like this little notebook. So whenever I would ask a question, I would write down the answer. If my supervisor provided some type of information or tip, I would write it down. And I still have it, and I still reference it now. And I just like having it because even sometimes I'll just look over and I'm like, oh, that's right. Like I forgot about that. So just take notes, write everything down, and have it all in one notebook so that like that's where you can go back and check. But yes, write it all down because I can assure you, you're gonna want to reference it later on. The next thing is seek professional development. If your district or the county office of education where you're interning provides professional development, attend it. Like you need to learn as much as you can during internship. If you don't know of any professional development, ask your supervisor because they might be getting emails from different places, regarding professional development that they can share with you. At these trainings, sometimes they give you resources or forms that you can use later on. So try to attend as much professional development as you can. It will pay off. The next thing is build relationships with those that you are working with your supervisor, obviously, with other school psychs. If you have access to other school psychs that you're working with, build relationships, build relationships with SLPs, with teachers. And like I said, for me, it was a little bit hard because I was only going in and out to my sites. And so it's not like I was able to go and like talk to the teachers and build relationships. But I tried to with the people that I interacted with the most. So like if there was like a specific teacher that I was working with, I would try to build relationships with her, with the school secretaries. Really, you need to really, really become best friends with the school secretaries. they are going to be your go-to for anything that you need when you're on site. So build relationships with them and with anybody else that you feel is necessary. Look at it in the way that when you're done with your internship, if you need letters of recommendation, you want to have people that you can get those letters from. So build those relationships. Even later on, they can become mentors. If you have other psychs, you can text them and be like, hey, help. So I build relationships with the psychs that were in my building. I still talk to them once in a while when I can. But it's nice knowing that you have other people who are in the same profession that you can talk to if you need help or advice or questions. You can call them. I've called my supervisor when I had a student with difficult behavior. And so build those relationships because they're going to be very helpful for you in the long run. Okay. Another thing, use a planner. Another one that's pretty obvious, but I use a planner. I like to keep track of what I have to do for the day, what students I'm working with, what meetings I have. And so use a planner. I have a planner on my iPad that I use. If you don't have a planner, you can just use your Outlook calendar and just keep yourself organized on there. But yes, that goes back to just being organized. The next thing is try to plan out your days in the way that you have, like, for example, what I would do is like, okay, on Monday, I need to test a student in the morning and I'm going to report right in the afternoon. Tuesday, I need to do observation in the morning and I'm going to input that information in the afternoon into my report. A lot of the times my goal was in the mornings. It was all of the testing, observations, anything that I had to do with students, I would try to do in the morning and then write all that information to a report or whatever in the afternoons. I know that's not always going to be possible because every day is different. But I just like to have that plan, and then obviously I would be flexible if needed. I'm a very type A personality, so I find that to be very important to me. And that might not help or be helpful for some of you, and that's okay. But I just like to have an idea of when I do things and when I'm gonna do things. And if, for some reason I can't, then that's fine. But yeah. The next thing is, if you have multiple sites, like I did, buy a rolling bag if you can. I bought one because I just didn't want to be carrying like 4 tote bags and a test kit and my iPads or anything like that. So I had a rolling bag and I would put everything in there, and my shoulder thanked me because I don't have any shoulder problems as of now. But yes, if you can, use a rolling bag, because honestly things can get heavy, and then you have your water and your phone and it's a lot. So if you can, have a rolling bag that you can use whenever you're going to your different sites to carry all of the things that you need. The next thing is, and it kind of goes back to asking questions, but ask for feedback. See what you can work on. There's always something that you can improve and work on, no matter how many years you've been a school psych. And so just ask like, hey, what are your thoughts on this? This is what I came up with. Like, do you think it's good? What would you change? And just ask for that feedback so that you can learn. And then you might not know that, there's a different way to doing things, or a better way to writing a certain eligibility blurb or whatever. So ask for that feedback. Also, build your resource folder. Any forms that you get during your internship, so like your supervisor might share like a parent questionnaire, or somebody else might share a different form that you might be able to use later on. Make a copy, save it, put all of that into like a binder or folder so that you can have those things when you're on your own, in case you don't have a parent questionnaire, or if you don't have a specific form, you can create your own using the different ones that you've collected during your internship. That's what I did. I collected all of the stuff that I could, and then I kind of made my own questionnaires or my own background information form. And some of the ones that my supervisor shared are the ones that I still use. And so just build that binder or folder with resources so that you can have those later on when you're by yourself. Because your district might have some, but they might not. And so having those as backup is always a good idea. The next thing is an erasable pen. You guys, you guys, please get yourself an erasable pen. It is life-changing. My really good friend, who is also a school psychologist, got me onto these, and please, Frixion, Clicker, these are good pens. Okay. I use them like when I'm writing on protocols or pretty much anything. I can erase, you guys. It's nice, you know, because you don't want to be using whiteout. So if you can, buy yourself some erasable pens. And my other tip is, if you can, have some of your most useful or practical textbooks at your desk, because I found myself referencing them when I was working on certain cases, or if I wasn't sure of how to do something, I would reference my textbook. So it's nice to have, don't take your whole library of textbooks, but take the ones that you feel would be the most useful. So like I had, I think, the essentials books. There was 2 of the essentials books, and then one of my Sattler books. And so I had those so that I could reference them when needed. My last tip is self-care. It's important to take care of yourself as an intern, even as a school psychologist. But I think as students, you're like really trying to learn and you're really trying to do the best that you can. But you also need to take care of yourself. Like I said, have boundaries. Me and the other intern would go on walks every day, when possible, because sometimes, you know, we had meetings or whatever. But we would try to go on walks every day, and it was just to like talk, vent, sometimes work related, sometimes not work related, but it really became like a thing for us. Please, even if it's by yourself, go walk around the building for 10 or 15 minutes. Just kind of take a breather and like get your mind away from all of the work, for a little bit at least. So find something that you can do to take care of yourself throughout the day, whether that be a walk, whether that be to go to your car and listen to music for a little bit, whatever it is, find something that's going to work for you to kind of make your internship experience a little bit more bearable. So those are the things that I wanted to share with you guys as far as things that I did that I found helpful. Hopefully this video is not all over the place or confusing for some of you, because it's been a long time since I last recorded, like I said. There's a lot more that I want to share with you guys. Obviously not in this video, but hopefully in the next one. I don't know when the next one will be. I can't make any promises. You know, recording videos is a hobby of mine, and I do this for fun and to hopefully help some of you guys. But there's other priorities, like work and my family and other things. And so that's why it took me 2 years to record this video, because my whole internship year was busy. I wanted to get the most experience that I could, and I was focusing on that. I was still taking classes, so I wanted to make sure I, you know, got A's and graduated. So hopefully this video was helpful to some of you. If there's any questions you guys have or something that maybe I didn't share that you're wondering about, let me know down in the comments below. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.